Hey everybody, it is Eric, it is Nick. We are going to wrap up the 2022 24 Hours of Lemon season. Now, childhood Eric looks at what's going on in the world and realizes that we are living in a world that is influenced by sci-fi movies. We have smart watches, we have iPads, we have commercial space travel. I mean, that's pretty much everything out of the movies that was predicted by 2022, wasn't it?
Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Silent Breed is people!
The 24 Hours of Lemons has also come a long way. The series turned 16 in October of 22, which is mind-blowing. But despite being around for that long, we saw a lot of things this year that we have never seen before.
We had our first AMC ambassador from Kenosha Kickers.
We had our first ever Tojin supercar. That won the eBay Halloween Meets Gasoline prize at Sonoma.
Piston Liberation Front brought our first Edsel that actually ran, and it also won IOE at the Ridge.
Low Road Racing brought the oldest Chevrolet we had ever seen, this 1947 Style Master that came to the Ridge.
We had our first ever Monte Carlo Z34 featuring the ultimate GM sound of power.
We've always wanted to see one of these. We finally did in 2022, a Chrysler Crossfire brought by Petrosexual Racing.
Another car we've always wanted to see showed up. That was a Gaz Volga 24, admittedly draped over a BMW 3 Series by Bad Decisions Racing. That was amazing.
We've seen a few Dodge Caravans race over the years. This was the first of this particular generation, the one that we like to call Roundy Boy. It was from Rad Dad Racing, and it showed up at both NCM and Road Atlanta.
We forgot to mention this in the race wrap-up, but we did get our first Lincoln LS at Road Atlanta, and it was kind of quick, so maybe ditch your BMW 3 Series for this thing.
We witnessed the debut of the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra XC Special Edition. It was a rookie team called Shade Tree Racing at Buttonwillow. Looking forward to see this car in the future.
Two Wrongs Make a Right brought our first Saab-swapped Fiero. We will talk more about this car in a little bit.
Over the years, we've seen plenty of BMW E46 3 Series. This was the first one with a turbo LS V8 swap. It had some issues, which we found amusing, but according to one of the team members, it was not a laughing matter.
One word, boner wolf.
You figure a werewolf is a man, and a man has needs. So as we morph into the werewolves that we are, we just have a nice red rocket hanging, hence Team Boner Wolf.
Log Dog Motorsports up there at Gingerman. They had a fire. We've had fires before. This was the first time we've seen a pit bike catch on fire.
We had our first racing croc.
In the area of themes we've never seen before, One Foot In Racing did a complete, incredibly detailed Homestar Runner theme at High Plains.
Another great High Plains theme came from Drop Bear Murphys, which is a koala / old-timey wrestling mashup that was just transcendent.
Our famous tech inspector / pit guy / do everything person, Dale Strimple, was at a lot of races, and finally at NJMP, the Glue Sticks did an entire Dale theme.
Un Gringo Racing also had the first car we know of that was ever traded for septic pumping.
We've had the U.S. Marines do a flyover at a Lemons race. At NOLA this year, First Light Search arranged for the first ever Coast Guard flyover.
And finally, we had our first Johnny Lightning die casts available. You can buy them right now. It is the Stay in Your Lane Honda Civic and Thin Blue Swine Ford Thunderbird. Motorsports is built on a lot of great rivalries, and we had some pretty good head-to-head matchups this year in Lemons that we also wanted to point out.
We had Dakota versus Dakota at Road Atlanta, with two trucks fielded by Winded Warriors and Hee Haw Racing.
We also had two Dodge Omni races, plural, at Pit Race in New Jersey, featuring 3 different Dodge Omnis, which is amazing because we had 0 Dodge Omnis up until a couple of years ago.
Well, forget Ford versus Ferrari. At High Plains, we had Taurus versus Malibu.
Similarly, at MSR, we had Chevy Lumina versus Toyota Camry.
Now, technically, this has happened before, but it was more than 10 years ago, talking about a triple Fiero race. It happened at Autobahn. It was super awesome. Collectively, the 3 Fieros won the I Got Screwed award.
At Pit Race, we had our first double eBay charged matchup between the Not Real Professional Racing Supercharged Mazda Protege and the Exorian Racing Turbocharged Ford Probe. The best part of this, everybody won.
Here's a few noteworthy performances. At Barber, we had the first driver ever to race a Dakota, Chevy S10, and Ford Ranger at the same race. That was Tyler Stank.
Not only did we have our first AMC Gremlin top 10 finish, we actually had 3 of them this year, including Team Lowball finishing 5th place overall and winning Index of Affluency. Why are you not racing an AMC Gremlin?
We witnessed what we think is the longest gap between 2 IOE wins. The Tuna Truckers won with a Volvo Amazon way back in 2008. They won this year with a different Volvo Amazon.
It's not new and it didn't finish towards the front, but man, we always have to point this car out. It is the Yikes Peak Escudone PT Cruiser. Man, just look at it.
We had 2 races where the overall win was decided by less than a second. NOLA by 0.8 of a second, Thunder Hill by 0.6 of a second.
We also had our first Subaru win a race overall. It only took 16 years. Well done.
At NJMP, we had a special class just for automotive YouTubers. We had Chris Fix, B is for Build, and Rich Rebuilds all doing battle with each other.
Known 24 Hours of Lemons racer Connor Daly decided to punch down this year and run the Indy 500, where he finished in the top 10 because, it's pretty easy. So, good for him.
2022 was the first year of the eBay Motors Halloween Meets Gasoline prize, and that goes to the team with the best decorations, the best costume, the best theme. If you get that, you win $1,000. It's the biggest cash prize in Lemons.
Our inaugural winners, Flying Blurritos with their Camaro, total family theme with all luchador outfits. Excellent.
We had the aforementioned Del Camino Tojan, which did a full-on Miami Vice Crockett and Tubbs 80s cocaine theme.
Jen and Rob Simpson got married at a wedding with the help of Escape Velocity Racing. Pretty much a slam dunk there.
The AmeriCorps Space Program won HMG with a great space theme and death bike. Incidentally, that was the pit bike that caught on fire.
Snug Nuts Racing dedicated themselves to a complete fishing theme that was very well executed.
In the West region, Loose Nuts won HMG in every race they entered, which was 3. Clearly you can see why.
Hangar 13 Racing won at High Plains with a Viva Las Vega theme. Not that you need a theme for a Chevy Vega, but they went all out.
3 Pedal Mafia won the prize with a Blazing Saddles theme, complete with a toll gate that other teams had to pay a load of dimes to in order to enter the track.
The League of Legitimate Nigerian Businessmen paid hip-hop artists on Fiverr to record a Lemons rap album.
Cause once they spot a lemon, it's more than a thrill. It's game on, and you know the drill.
And then made their theme around that. That won them a Halloween Meets Gasoline trophy.
Hopes and Dreams Racing won the award with a great bribery theme. Their theme is Crappa Auto Parts, and the bribes were all based on that.
Low Speed High Drag did a super obscure Rax Restaurants and Mr. Delicious theme.
Savage Orchid and their Escort ZX2, don't forget the ZX2, did an incredible and possibly offensive Scuderia Ferrari theme.
It'll Be Fine and their Eagle Summit wagon. That is the mini Van Halen. They were in costume all weekend. They were blasting Van Halen out of the car on track. That's how you do it.
The eBay Snipers took a direct approach to winning HMG by doing a totally shameless pandering to eBay theme.
Silent but Deadly Racing and their Thunderbird, Space Pants.
Horrible Racing. They're from Maine, and their whole theme was Maine stereotypes. We couldn't tell if it was a theme or not, but in any case, we awarded them the HMG.
Escape Velocity won in Texas for the second time with a slightly confusing Demolition Man theme.
At Sonoma, Pit Crew Revenge brought Buttercup, which is the giant Lincoln Continental with the horse and cowboy on the roof. They had costumes all weekend. Easy HMG winner.
Finally, Disciples of Gru, a minion costume team with a gaugeless, portable fan turboed base model Civic on 13-inch wheels.
Do you think you can do better than those themes? Next year, there's gonna be the same $1,000 prize out there, so go for it.
On the subject of sponsors, we have the Yokohama Road Mangler Cup coming back in 2023 also. If you run your car on a set of Yokohama tires, at the end of the weekend, you have the chance to win another set of Yokohama tires.
On to the 2022 season champions. The national drivers champion was Neil Losi. He was pretty tough to beat this year because he became the first driver in Lemon's history to race every single event on the schedule, which was 21 races. No one has ever done that. He did it with panache by driving everything from a Togen to a Volvo PV 544. He scored 182 championship points, which was 100 points more than anybody else. We think he earned his Lemons approved straight jacket, which was presented to him at Road Atlanta at the season finale.
For good measure, Neil also won the West, Midwest, and Southern Region Drivers Championships. We'll have a little bit more from Neil in the future, but here are the rest of your regional winners. Breaking Bad Racing was our national teams champion in 2022. Now, these guys started with a single, tired, ugly Ford Festiva like a half decade ago, and they've grown that into 9 Lemons cars, which all entered MSR Houston in November and racked up a ton of points. That Festiva they started with still kicks around. There's also a Toyota Tercel, a flotsam of Ford Mustangs, Mazda Miatas, and V8 BMWs. They're dedicated to having fun, they eat well. Maybe not the greatest drivers in the world, but we really love seeing these guys. They're always having a good time. So they eked out the Gulf Region Championship also by a single point.
That Gulf Championship was one of 5 different regional winners. Here's the rest. Believe it or not, we keep track of manufacturer points as determined by top 10 finishes. BMW wins every year. We don't care about this.
We do, of course, give out a subjective Real Constructors Championship, and this year it goes to Mercedes-Benz. We had 2 different Mercedes put together 4 overall wins, which is notable for the fact that only one Mercedes has ever won since 2015. That's not too bad for overly complicated, highly depreciated Teutonic machines like these, but our favorite Mercedes this year came nowhere near the top 10, but were really amazing. Talking, of course, about Cleverly Hillbillies' extremely depreciated V12 S600 and their spin-off team Men on Pause Racing and their R107. They captured our hearts, if not an abundance of points.
Okay, if BMW scored the most top 10 points and Mercedes scored the most wins per entry, what about Volkswagen with associated Porsche and Audi brands? Surely they carried off batches of top 10 finishes, prizes left and right, overall wins, completing a clean German sweep for all of the Lemons annual awards, right?
Yes, well.
Yeah, about that. First of all, the Deconstructors Championship is the brand that gives the most heartburn and dejected looks from teams throughout the year. And of course, the Volkswagen Auto Group racked up 3 I Got Screwed trophies this year, 3 dead last finishes, and sure, the Porsche 996 with the air-cooled Volkswagen engine was the excellence that we expected, but the rest is kind of a substantial trail of busted Volkswagen turbos, Audi computers flipping out, and Porsche everything. So better luck next year.
And the final and most important yearly award is the Coppa di Bondo, which essentially is a season-long IOE. What team held it together for an entire Lemon season and brought entertaining themes, amazing cars, and most importantly, people we wanted to spend a weekend with. Nobody embodied that better in 2022 than Escape Velocity Racing.
We've talked about it already, but they are the only team with a Dodge Dart that has raced for 10 years. They are the only team that hosted a wedding this year. They are the only team that won the Halloween Meets Gasoline for a Demolition Man theme. We're looking forward to seeing them next year.
Other great stuff coming up in 2023, a full slate of 22 races all over the country.
That includes 3 tracks at one race at Thunder Hill.
Our first visit to Oklahoma at Hallett in May.
Our return to Road America after a decade. We have some really special stuff planned for that one.
And of course, more pointless, time-wasting, dubious quality YouTube content for you, the viewers.
That brings us to 2022 in a nutshell.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?